tax formation, okay, which would define another new lease of tax administration in Nigeria. This time around, innovations have been injected into the process to ensure that, first of all, the taxable institutions and persons in the country, are known, okay. The modalities for getting the revenue is checked. The management of the revenue, blocking loopholes, and watching over the revenue to ensure that it does not get embezzled, looted, or mismanaged.
I just hope all of this are not in theory.
Yeah,
Nigeria.
Well, Nigeria. The workability of that document, the law, okay, if strictly adhered to, it's going to upscale revenue collection in Nigeria. It's going to upscale national income, truly. The intent is to ensure that taxation forms a huge part of our GDP. Okay, that's able to give it a rise. So I'm a tax consultant, so okay. I know a little bit of tax. And if you see a bad tax law, you can tell from its provisions. But the current administration, the current tax administration, I think is very well far-reaching and altruistic enough in its outlook. Okay. In its outlook, and it is my belief that we'll get it right at this level.
Any side effect for average Nigerians, the commonest, the most vulnerable? Because some companies, blue chip companies, have said that if this comes on, that it would have to trickle down to the average Nigerians, because if all of those large amount of tax is given to them and they pay, of course they have to know how to divide it such that even the most common Nigerian who used to buy stuff for 100 naira might buy it for 120.
Yeah, because you are saying they may add
definitely
to their whatever it is, the running cost. Okay, yeah, in as much as that is an economic variable. Okay, you pass costs in business. It's an economic variable because when the system, okay, pulls from people, okay, when the system pulls from businesses, okay, those businesses will adjust price, okay, of goods and services, and the end user, that's the masses, will have to pay a little bit more. But what you're not looking at is that the tax itself, okay, that is derivable from this pool of businesses is what government use for the development of society.
But don't you think that's what in the Western world, don't you think those are the things that the government of those in the global north try to avoid? They subsidize all of these things such that it will not trickle down to the man at the lower ebb of the food chain.
Yeah, we are running a different economic system. The economic system we run has to do with the social contract theory, even though it's not practical in Nigeria, because, like I said before, the problem of leadership and policy derivation, policy formulation, is the problem we actually have in Nigeria. Even if the revenue comes from tax and everything, okay, there's also apply it to public costs, which the masses will benefit. So the margin that the masses is paying, the higher the considerable adjustment made in what he now pays, he gains from public costs. So that's what the idea is. It's also be a win-win situation. If tax is properly managed, tax alone can advance an economy. Tax alone. So this bill is this bill, because it's still a bill, even though it has been passed by the National Assembly, the president has not signed, so it's still a bill. This bill is going to sign today. So maybe by evening after he signed, we can now say this law. Okay. is meant to actually upscale the economic fortune of the country. If you notice during the debate in the House, VAT was proposed for 10%,
Yeah.
and it was thrown out by the House. Okay, and yes, I mean, it is not at all point, at all times that, even though because they've been doing the wrong things for so long, anything they do we see that wrong was supposed to, yeah, but the National Assembly was able to oversight that 10% VAT.
On that matter.
Yes, and it was, so don't go there, because even when you took it, when Buhari took it from 5% to 7.5% through the Finance Act in 2021, there was a public outcry as to, why should VAT be that rate? And because from all the laws that are repealed by the new tax, VAT and some other ones, petroleum income tax, those are the ones that survived.
Yes.
Okay. So at the end of the day, what we have is a situation where the government is making an attempt to recoup. You understand? When the government says, widen the tax net, it's not for the outcome now. Okay, it's not that it's going to tax the poor.
It's taxing.
It's going to make sure that those who have been evading tax, especially corporation and all that, they are going to bring them under that net so that you can collect all collectibles from them and advance the course of governance.
I just sincerely hope that yes, on Wike closing down or threatening to close down embassies in Abuja is not part of because they have been evading tax for a very long time.
Wike cannot close embassy in Abuja because the embassies are not a territory of Nigeria.
Are they supposed to pay ground rent?
They are not supposed to pay. They are not supposed to pay. Wike have a problem. He doesn't read and he doesn't take advice. Okay, when a country purchases a place and use it as their embassy, okay.
Do they purchase it, or the host country gift them?
Yes, they purchase, they rent.
Oh, okay.
You understand? So if you are renting, so when they pay rent, the owner of the facility is the owner of the place is the one that should pay ground rent, not the embassy.
Okay.
You understand? But if they purchase, it becomes their territory. So even if they have to pay whatever it is they have to pay to their government and not to you, because we have treaties that gave birth to the international relations, non-alignment, okay, foreign policies, okay. So that is what it is. So he cannot close down embassies. It's not within his domain to do so. He's the capital of the what do you call it? The FCT minister. Yes, it's the FCT minister. He cannot close the embassy. Embassy does not fall under. It falls under international, the Ministry of External Affairs. Okay, so if there's any issue with embassies, country to country, and all that, the FCT minister does not have jurisdiction. It is the Ministry of External Affairs that will deal with those issues. So that is what it is. So for me, I'm not a fan of this government, but from the standpoint of taxation, the law on taxation, I believe that this new tax regime will not go the way of the others. Somebody will ask, why do you think so? What has changed? Have the people changed?
Yes.
Or just because the law is changing, therefore you are going to deliver? Okay, But the only way this will also succeed is if the government back it up by good tax administration. Because one thing to have a law is another thing to have the direction. Okay, because the tax body is going to come up with practice direction on how, which has to do with policy.
Very true.
Because law will always set out the do's and don'ts, the variables, the allowables and non-allowables, and what is defined as projection or what you pay, what you do, you know. But the day-to-day running, the day-to-day running of the issue on that question will be from the practice direction or the policy document of the institution in question.
Very true.
So
administrative, yes. Administrative components are very so important. Unfortunately, we have a country where we make good laws, awesome ones, but at the end, we have lots of issues here, because that is stemming from the next story we have. Over 91% of FX liquidity outside formal banking system. During the days of Godwin Emefiele, he was able to, at least to some extent, you know, pull in lots of funds that were in the informal sector into the formal sector. That was when we had when Nigerians could readily pay with their cards and all. But right now it's reversed. And the same government is complaining that 91% of that funds is currently in the informal sector. How would we ever get it right when we make good laws and at the other end of the curve?
As long as we have a black market, which is actually the informal sector.
Yes.
The money actually comes from the formal sector.
It comes from the formal sector.
Yeah, then it gets caught up in the informal sector and begin to revolve there. It doesn't
go back.
Yeah, it doesn't go back, because if I'm trading now and I have lots of naira, and I have lots of foreign currency, and because I can easily make profit, I will keep my currencies with me, then I will trade with it. I will now be getting more from the formal sector, and I will retain it in the informal sector. I will retain, because I can always turn it over. And these same politicians who are condemning it are the ones that bring it from the formal sector. Then it gets into the black market and gets stuck there, because in the black market, the availability for which you can get at a go, you cannot get it. You can't get it in the formal sector. So the trading now is now caught up within the black market, and the black marketers are the ones generating the funds as against the formal sector where it came from.
So how is it experienced in other parts of the world?
No, in the other part of the world, the exchange rate is uniform.
In Egypt, for example?
I don't know of Egypt, but I've been to South Africa, is uniform. UK is uniform. America is uniform.
All right. So if you want to convert a rand now, if you want to convert, you are going from Nigeria to South Africa, you convert your dollars to a rand, and it is time for you to go back. Can you readily walk into a bank at odd hours and get your FX?
Yes.
Your foreign.
Yes. You don't need to walk into a bank. Just get to the airport.
Oh.
It's at the airport. They have the Brew de Change at the airport. You just walk into anyone. Just do 2-3 of them. It's the same price they'll give you. You understand? Over there, it's regulated, it's uniform. But here, I can hold the dollars and test your desperation for it. And I can tell you, I'm changing at this rate. You understand? And if you really need it and you need it to do business or to do any transaction, you will pay. And so because it's not uniform, it's not regulated. So the bank is supposed to regulate it, but since they are not regulating it, the black marketers have found a gold there. So they'll use it and turn it over. But the availability is what is important, because even the law of demand and supply kicks into that same issue, because it's scarce. So when it's scarce, the price will go up. But if it's available everywhere, the price will remain just uniform or just static.
But do you think, like we've had it all well with fintechs? Right now, Nigerians hardly go to or walk into ATM machines in conventional banks. They just go to POS. It's just going to take them a little naira, and they get exactly what they want. Would we ever get there with the FX?
The POS is also a bank. It's just as agency banking. So we are talking about
yes.
Yeah, but you know, for the FX, we've not really gone through. The FX is not really liberalized as such. You understand? Like now, if you want to transfer from your bank to another bank, I mean from your DOM account, you can't do it in Nigeria.
You can't do it in Nigeria?
You can't.
Really?
Make a transfer.
Yes.
Of dollars or pounds or whatever from your own bank
Yes.
to another bank. You can't do it. But you can transfer from your bank to another person's account in the same bank.
Oh, okay. Oh,
You understand? You can't do it. So it's not really liberalized, and in some places, you cannot even use your card. You know, we have this gold card.
Yes.
Okay, when you travel, it gives you money in the currency of that country when you use it.
Okay.
You understand? So many times it fails too. Okay, but the FS is not liberal, and I don't know why. I don't know why we are not scaling up that in a global economy.
Because when it comes to the financial ecosystem, we've been doing largely well.
No, we do
better
well
than lots of countries.
No, yeah, we do well in terms of automation. Automation in terms of, our banking system. You do make a transfer, you get immediately.
Swiftly, yeah.
Swiftly. That's what I mean by automation. But when you talk about the monetary policy itself, we are so foot dragging. You understand? We are so foot dragging. In America, for example, you can zero. Okay, you can zero. Your transfer is zero. You zero money to someone else, but you cannot take money and go to the bank, walk into the bank, and pay it into another person's account.
Oh, really?
No. You have to generate what you call the manager's check. Okay. You generate the manager's check, and it goes through a process, and that process is very through with the monitor what it is. So, not as if it's bad for you not to be able to transfer Forex from your DOM account to a DOM account of another bank, but because the funds has to be monitored too, given that through our banks, terrorism have been sponsored. A lot of things have been sponsored. So there's a need to track this inflow and outflow. Okay, for security reasons, the NSA is there getting all reports on. That's how they're able to trace accounts that are funding terrorism and all that. For national security, there's a need to see how money moves. Even in those countries where you make a transfer and get after 3 days, there are security measures put within all those checks so that things are not just easy like that. And before the government is able to track it, damage has been done. There's a need to track. And that's why we have a BVN now. So your account is tracking one. They know who is doing what, when and how. They know where the money is going to, the purpose. If it's for criminal tendency, they will to intercept it before the harm is done.
But unfortunately, they weren't able to track that of their former boss, Godwin Emefiele, who, after lots of investigation, Nigerians observed that lots of those funds were in so many places, and one would wonder how that the CBN couldn't track one of its.
Yeah, the case is in court right now. I mean, it has like 5 criminal matters running concurrently. So it's not what we can dabble into until the court decides.
All right, so let's take a little bit on this particular story just before we call it a day for today. Obedient ADA 108 orders apply to INEC for registration. Don't you think this is becoming an abuse of the process itself? Because it's not making sense. 108 parties.
110 actually.
Yes.
110. Yes. So no, it's not an abuse. Nigeria operates a multi-party system by our constitution. Okay, so you can register.
So there's no cap in the.
No, there's no limit to the number of political parties you can register. Okay, as long as they meet INEC requirements. Okay, you need to have certain number of members in the federation. You need to have an office. You need to have a constitution, a party, a logo, an acronym. But what is going on here, if you look at the INEC report yesterday, there's a lot of issues with this 110. First, the ADA, the one that is being propelled by Rufai, Rotimi Amechi, and Atiku, has the same acronym with an existing party. Okay, I think is it?
So justice for all, I guess. Or?
Yeah, no, African Advanced something. ADA.
Okay. I thought you were talking about the slogan here.
Yes. So when you look at that, they're already having some glitches there. There's a political party, the Great Nigerian People's Party or thereabout, had one pro tem chairman and 3 political parties being headed by the same pro tem chairman. Okay. Some of them have adopted names of already deregistered political parties.
Oh.
Some of them do not have secretaries. Some do not have pro tem chairman. Some have so INEC just gave an overview yesterday. Okay. Because a lot of them will be refused registration. Because the truth is, you have INEC guideline and you did not look at the guideline before you come up with a name, a logo, and all those things. It tells a lot about that association, because they are all associations as we speak.
Yeah.
Until they are registered by INEC when they become a political party. You did not check all that. It speaks volume of your capacity to lead anywhere in the country. If you have guidelines and you won't check them, or you won't consult lawyers, you won't consult people to help you put these things together. It speaks a lot about because at the end of the day, maybe half of the number, or maybe 1/3 of the number we've found out. But the bigger question is that the fact that you have proliferation of 110 now is to show that democracy is not really working in Nigeria.
Exactly, because
Yes.
one will think those are the things fueling the defection of one party to another.
Yeah, because the existing ones have not done well. The existing political parties are parties without ideology, parties without manifestos. They have manifestos in paper, but they don't entrench, they don't do anything about it. So this 110 are asking more questions than providing answers. The existing ones are asking more questions. The ones coming are asking more. Nobody have given us an answer to democracy in Nigeria as we speak. So it's a very bad one, because it means also that many of these political parties, they are just self-serving. They are for certain purposes other than what it should be. They are for purposes that is not politically defined. Okay, so that's why you have that proliferation. That's why you could have them not follow guidelines and they want to have registered political party. You could see all that in the mix, and many of them also came from those who were dissatisfied and their breakaways from other political parties that came together. There's now the Obedient Movement.
Yes.
It's an association.
Yes,
Not be, So a lot of people are just registering associations so that they can register them as political parties. But it's a good thing that we are moving. But the clarity in the purpose of why they are putting up all this, because they've seen how politicians are making hell of money.
Yes.
So many persons, the objective is just to set it up. Maybe one big politician who is dissatisfied from people will come there, they will extract money from him. But that's what happened in the Labour Party. And once the money hit the party will never remain the same again. That's what is happening to Labour. They saw money they've never seen before. They gave this one, gave the Aisha to hold this one to hold that, this one to. At the end of the day, they started blaming each other, fighting each other. The Aisha's with the money. This other person, Okonkwo, is with the money. This one is with the money and all that. So it is a very bad situation. I hope they correct it. I hope one or two of them.
Is it our electoral act that would correct that, or what exactly?
No. It's the people in the members of the political party. They would decide what they want to do at some point. They will decide what they want to do at some point. It's not the electoral act. The electoral act is there. It's just that your registration must conform with the electoral act, the constitution, and guidelines. Okay.
And if the electoral act states that if you defect, you must relinquish your position, don't you think that would possibly reduce the number of proliferation of parties we have?
It's not the INEC, it's not the INEC edition that will say that. It's not the electoral act that will say that. It's the constitution.
Constitution of Nigeria.
It's the constitution, yes. Because if you look at it from section 222, 223, 224, captures registration and requirements and all that. Then you see our provisions in the INEC guidelines now that set up the process for you and the rest of that.
All right, we'll just have to leave it at this particular point, and just to let you know, we'll be on to our next conversation in a bit. We'll be joined with Michael Lenin, who will be joining us from Abuja, and Barrister Ufeli will be here to take us equally on that main conversation. That is when we return protest in London as Nigerian activists face death penalty over hashtag end bad governance of protest. That in a bit is still Enterprise Morning. Please don't go anywhere.